As much as we might not want to admit it, we've all slowed down as we passed an accident. Or maybe tried to listen a little too intently when we hear a couple start arguing, or pretended to look away in hopes we would see something in our peripherals, or peered through the blinds to get a glimpse of what our neighbors might be up to. Curiosity is human nature. It is perfectly harmless to be a little nosy, to take an interest in the world around you and gaze into your surroundings, until those eyes lock onto someone who is gazing right back. This is exactly the unnerving situation Julia finds herself in Chloe Okuno's 2002 psychological thriller, Watcher, when she finds a pair of eyes looking back at her with intentions that are not so innocent.
Nice hearing from you, Carlos.
Writer and director Chloe Okuno got her start just like many filmmakers in the horror space, showing ambitious short films at genre film festivals, like her 2014 short Slut, which premiered at LA's annual Screamfest Horror Film Festival. After directing the Storm Drain segment of the fourth installment of Shudder's found footage anthology series, VHS 94, Hail Rotma, she set her sights on her first feature-length film. Since her previous work features much more outward horror elements, it was interesting to see her test her skills as a director with the subtle paranoia of a stylish thriller. Starring contemporary horror queen Maika Monroe, who most recently stunned audiences with her portrayal of Agent Lee Harker opposite Nicolas Cage in Longlegs, Watcher follows Julia, an American who moves to Bucharest, Romania with her husband Francis, Carl Glusman, based on an original screenplay by Zach Ford. Bored and alone for most of her day, she begins taking a liking to peering out the sizable glass windows that line their new apartment, until she suspects that she herself is being watched and followed by one of the neighbors in the building across the street. With a serial killer known as the Spider at large in the city, Julia becomes more and more concerned with her safety. From the moment Julia arrives in Bucharest, the film places her in an environment that is both physically and emotionally foreign. She does not speak the language, which forces most of her interactions to be filtered through her husband's translations. So she has a few connections and is often alone in a spacious apartment that overlooks a series of windows, mirroring Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window from 1954. The film capitalizes on the unnerving notion of being observed, using long takes and compositions that emphasize Julia's smallness in comparison to her surroundings. The reoccurring image of the stranger standing at the window, seemingly watching Julia, immediately establishes a sense of paranoia. The ambiguousness of his dark shadow has you wondering, where is he looking? Is he simply looking out the window out of boredom, just like Julia is? Even if he is looking in her general direction, is it perfectly possible that he's oblivious to her existence? Or is it just as plausible that he's staring directly at her, knowing that she's looking right at him? And if this is the case, you have to wonder, why? The slow, deliberate pacing allows the tension to build as Julia begins to doubt her own perceptions, further isolating her from those around her, including her husband. Francis, while not outright dismissive, often downplays Julia's concerns. His work schedule keeps him away, and his reassurances that she's overreacting contribute to her growing self-doubt. This dismissal reflects broader societal tendencies to invalidate women's fears, particularly in cases of stalking or harassment. Not only are her fears simply shrugged off, but a narrative begins to form that it is Julia that is following and harassing the man. The audience, however, gets to bear witness to the sequence of events that continue to follow Julia and remains aligned with her perspective, experiencing every moment of discomfort and dread alongside her. At its core, Watcher is a film about the gendered experience of fear. It is true that anyone would get freaked out at the thought of being watched, but Julia's situation as a lonely wife purposefully calls to the tradition of female-centric voyeuristic thrillers. Julia's anxiety is not rooted in overactive imagination, but in genuine concern for her safety, a concern that is routinely brushed aside. Her husband and the police embody the archetype of well-meaning but ultimately unhelpful authority figures who fail to grasp the depth of her terror. This dynamic is one that many women in real life recognize, where their experiences of feeling unsafe are minimized or questioned. The film's antagonist, played by Bern Gorman, is an embodiment of the omnipresent threat that women face in public and private spaces. Bern Gorman is well known for a plethora of roles that position him as a just slightly creepy or off-kilter, yet looks like he could have a softer side, which makes him perfect for this exact role. His performance is just chilling, not because he's overtly monstrous, but because he operates within the realm of plausible deniability. His presence is just unsettling enough to be alarming to Julia, but not outwardly aggressive enough for others to take action. He is the type of threat that makes the men in Julia's life say, This is the guy you're worried about? This ambiguity is one of the film's most terrifying aspects, as it forces the audience to grapple with the uncomfortable reality that such threats are often ignored until it's too late. The film's climax is a masterful payoff to the slow burn tension that has been mounting throughout. When Julia finally comes face to face with her stalker, her fears are validated in the most horrifying way, a type of validation she is unsure if she really wanted. What's better, to be paranoid about a non-existent threat, or to be right about your life being in imminent danger? The final act is both terrifying and cathartic, as Julia, who has spent the majority of the film in a state of powerlessness, is finally able to confront her predator. The use of space and light in the climactic confrontation is striking, as the oppressive darkness that has dominated much of the film gives way to a more active, visceral depiction of survival. The resolution of Watcher does not offer any sense of justice, but instead leaves the audience with a lingering unease. The final moment suggests that while Julia has survived, the psychological scars remain. This ambiguity reinforces the film's themes of trauma and the long-lasting impact of fear, making it a poignant commentary on the real-world experiences of many women. Nathan Halpern's score is subtle yet effective, relying on low, droning sounds that heighten the film's oppressive atmosphere. The sound design plays a crucial role in building tension, particularly in scenes where Julia believes she's being followed. Footsteps echo unnervingly, and silence is used strategically to make the audience hyper-aware of every creak and breath. Along with Julia, you have to ask yourself, was that a noise I should be concerned about? Or was that just the noise? The film's use of ambient noise, such as distant traffic or muffled conversations in a foreign language, adds to Julia's alienation and sense of disconnection. Benjamin Kirk Nelson's cinematography is also a significant factor in the film's ability to evoke fear and unease. The color palette is cold and muted, amplifying the feeling of loneliness and detachment. The gloomy mood is palpable and pulls the audience into Julia's melancholic nature, priming you from the thrills to come. The use of negative space in the frame often leaves room for the unseen presence, suggesting that danger is always lurking, and wide shots place Julia in open yet confining spaces, reinforcing her vulnerability. The film frequently employs slow zooms and deliberate camera movements to mimic Julia's growing paranoia. One of the most effective visual motifs is the blurred figure of the Watcher, standing motionless in his apartment, a presence that is felt even when he is not in the frame. The use of reflections, whether in glass windows or dimly lit hallways, further distorts Julia's reality, emphasizing the theme of perception versus truth. It also smartly reflects Julia's gaze back at her and the audience, allowing you to question, before the truth is revealed in the end, who really is the Watcher in this situation? Is it the strange man, or is it Julia herself? After premiering at the 2022 Sundance Film Festival, where it gained attention for its Hitchcockian influences and feminist themes, Watcher went on to have a limited theatrical release, in addition to a VOD release on the horror streaming platform Shudder. While Watcher was not a major box office hit by the standards of much wider releases, it performed well to be considered the largest opening weekend for IFC Films and the IFC Midnight Shudder label. The film received positive reviews, particularly for its tense atmosphere, slow burn suspense, and Monroe's performance. It holds a solid score on Rotten Tomatoes, 88%, and Metacritic, 72 out of 100, with many critics praising Okuno's direction. Often compared to films like Rear Window and The Tenant, it was noted for its modern take on paranoia and psychological horror, diving into gendered fear, gaslighting, and isolation. Overall, Watcher was a critical success that solidified Maika Monroe's status as a modern scream queen. It also put Chloe Okuno on the radar of many horror fans who are excited to see what she's cooking next with her next feature film, Brides, a vampire film that is another collaboration between Okuno and Monroe. Watcher is a deeply effective psychological thriller that succeeds in immersing the audience in the protagonist's paranoia and fear. Through meticulous cinematography, a restrained but haunting performance by Maika Monroe, and an intelligent exploration of gendered vulnerability, the film transcends its genre trappings to deliver a profound and unsettling experience. Chloe Okuno's direction ensures that every frame serves the narrative's themes, creating a film that is as socially relevant as it is thrilling. In a world where women's fears are often too dismissed, Watcher stands as a chilling reminder of the consequences of not listening.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.